Yo, what's up YouTube? Back with another video. Today we're gonna be learning, or I guess just attempting to make a mob. I'm gonna show you guys the work method, work basically just how to create a simple mob. Particularly like a pet maybe, something as small as a pet. Nothing high detailed yet, but yeah. Um, we're gonna be modeling and then texturing and then probably in another video we'll be rigging the model. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The model for today is just going to be a Goomba from Mario. I was just playing um, on my Nintendo Switch and I was like, hey, let's make this. So yeah, first things first, once you have Blender open, you want to go ahead and get your reference. So I already have that. Let's go ahead and add our image. You would hit Shift A or add, and then you'd go to empty the image. There it is. Just hit Shift Z and then rotate it 90 degrees. Scale it up. You can hit down here. You see image, and you can go ahead and find wherever your image is located. Don't be rough. Alright, there's our guy. Gonna move him back just a bit. Scale him up just a tad bit. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on cavity just because it's like modeling with it on. Matte cap. Alright, we can go ahead and start. Alright, so first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and actually let me scale this up first. Alright, I'm gonna add a loop cut in the middle and then get rid of our right side of the mesh. Alright, now in our modifier tab, we can go ahead and apply, what not apply, but select the mirror modifier. Go ahead and hit clipping. And then I'm gonna add a loop cut here. So I just like to spread my triangles, my edges just a bit. Get it somewhat like a cylinder. So if you're kind of new to modeling mobs or just modeling in general, your best friend is probably going to be the subdivision modifier. I'm going to use it for this video because it's generally just easier. You see it smooths the mesh, makes everything round. We have a very round model that we're going to be making, so this is perfect. But as you keep modeling, you'll realize you don't really, I won't say you don't need to use this, but you'll just be able to create the geometry needed without this. So yeah, once we have that subdivision modifier up, we're gonna shape our head out. I'm going to just drag this vertex up, get it rounded at the top, perfect. You can select edges, multiple edges that are lined up if you hold Alt and then left click. So that's what I just did. I'm gonna drag this down with double G, which is the slide, and then we're just gonna scale it. And then I'm gonna make a few edits here. Okay, so once you have the general shape of our head done, we're gonna make this part. I guess this would be his torso. Gonna select our bottom faces. And actually, before we do that, I'm gonna apply the mirror modifier. Okay. Now we can press I and then we're just gonna drag our mouse in to wherever we think is a good spot. And if you need to drag it more, just hit S, scale it in. All right, then we're gonna extrude with E. I pressed E, and then I'm going to drag this down. All right. So now we're gonna apply an edge crease up here. You want to select these lines, or edges, with Alt and then left click, and then we're gonna hit Shift plus E, and we're gonna drag our mouse outwards. That'll make the edge sharp. And then from here, we could probably scale it in. Just make a small adjustment to the bottom. Maybe scale this out, add one loop cut here. Bottom, I'm gonna grab that vertex, drag it down. This area is a little too long, so we're just gonna slide everything up, double G. I say that's about perfect. All right, so we have the shape of our head done. We have our torso. Next, we have our feet. Oh, let's go ahead and add our statistics. So currently we're at 512 triangles, which is perfect. Don't really want to go over 1.5K if possible for a model of this size. It's not much detail on it. So, all right, next we're gonna add another mesh. Gonna add a cube, and then once again, you're pretty new to Blender. Geometry in general, just moving vertices. You can go ahead and add that subdivision modifier. One should do. The higher you go, the more detail, but we don't really need that detail. All right, so yeah, once we have that, we are going to make this longer. So let's grab, you can select this face here, just slide it. The bottom of the feet is pretty flat, so I'm gonna move this up a bit, and then we're gonna add an edge crease to the face. So Shift plus E, and then drag the mouse outwards. To get rid of edge creases, you would just hit Shift E again, and then slide the mouse inwards until the pink is gone. Just a tip. So yeah, we're gonna do that. And we're gonna make the foot thinner. We're gonna add a loop cut down the middle. And then the first edge in the front of the foot, we're just gonna drag that outwards. Maybe drag this out a bit. And we're gonna scale it down. Gonna add a mirror modifier. I see, maybe it shouldn't be so flat. So we'd hit Shift E again, and then just move your mouse inwards. Actually, I don't know. Whatever looks good to you. We could probably bring this up. So let's bring this down completely. Or not. Just a bit. There we go. Let's say that's about good. I'm gonna move this forward, scale it just a bit. The back. I'm just gonna do another edge crease. And maybe. There we go. Alright. Or you can just scale this as you see fit. Say about right there. And then I'm going to, yeah, it's about good. I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate this from now. There we go. All right, we have our head, torso, we have the foot. Next, we're gonna move to the eyebrows. Eyebrows are pretty simple. Uh, you can either do a cube or a plane. I'm gonna add, I'm gonna do a plane, and we'll solidify if need be. But add that plane, scale it down. You have a perfect reference right here that you can easily follow. Gonna add a subdivision modifier just so the curves are smooth. Got right here, and that loop cut here, and that scale. That's pretty good. Nothing has to be perfect. I don't want to add too many loop cuts. We can mirror this. I'm gonna scale this just a bit, move it upwards. And then I'm gonna add, well, I'm just gonna extrude it. There we go. And I will add a solidifier modifier. Okay. So let's do, there we go. And then, yeah, let's push this back. All right. Turn that flat again. Okay, so next we have our mouth. I'm gonna go ahead and save this from now. Goomba YouTube. Okay, so the mouth can be kind of tricky, but the way our faces are set up should be fine. We're gonna select our bottom faces, 4 faces. Maybe you have two, just whatever you have down here that you can work with. Then we're gonna hit I. Okay, and then I'm going to scale this outwards, and then bring this back some, and then I'm gonna extrude it inwards. So right there, and then I'm gonna scale this down. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so now the lip, the bottom lip over the top lip, can take one vertex here. And let's see, can we, yeah, we could just drag this upwards. Bring this, the top lip downwards. Okay. The front is pretty flat, so we can get our side with alt click and then slide it with double G. And actually, let's go ahead and mirror from now. So select the right side. Gonna get rid of the subdivision from now. Apply the mirror modifier first, then subdivide, and then clipping. Okay. Alright, so the front, I'm gonna bring this out. Actually, no. There we go. I'm gonna slide this backwards. Perfect. Could probably bring this one outwards. Let's give him the little mean mug. We have plenty of space for the teeth. Push that back. All right. So let's go ahead and make our teeth. We can just add two, let's see. Teeth. You could add like a cylinder wouldn't really use cone. You can't really add loop cuts with a cone. Um, just for the sake of the video, I'll do a cylinder. Every time you add an object, you get this menu down here. Click this menu. You can change the vertices to whatever count you want. For the teeth, I just want 8. Once we have that, we're gonna get our mesh. Do the mirror. Mirror. There we go. Now we're gonna scale this inwards. And we're going to, if my thing works with me. Here we go. Alright, we're gonna scale the top in. And then the bottom. I'm gonna add a loop cut here. I'm gonna have to give the fang like a curve, like that. I'm gonna take this downwards, slide it in there. Perfect. Alright, so all that's left is the eyes. The eyes. Depending on what you want to do, you could model the eyes or texture paint it. I am going to texture paint because a lot of people want to know how it's done. So let's go ahead and start that process. I'm gonna go ahead and smooth everything. Smooth. We can auto smooth. To do that, you would hit this triangle down here, normals, auto smooth, and then you can slide this to wherever you see fit. Probably that actually looks cool. Okay. Alright, so texture painting. You want to, at the top of your screen, you see texture paint up here. You want to click that. Alright. Next, you want to add a material. So we're gonna name this, you can name this anything. I'm gonna name it Goomba material. Then you're gonna come up here, make sure, well, if you hit texture paint, you should automatically be in texture paint mode. But if you're not, make sure you're in there. Right here, we're gonna click this plus, hit base color. Name this anything you want also. This is just gonna be the name of your image file, so Goomba texture. Because I cannot spell. Okay. I'm gonna start off pitch white and then hit OK. Alright, so I like to go ahead and get all my colors before I start painting. So you can hit this color palette down here, hit new, hit plus to get your white, switch to black, plus, and then select your other colors. So yeah, that's all we need. We get this. Okay. Okay, so start with the eyebrows. Oh. Okay, yeah, the eyebrows. Make sure you have your material here. And then over here, you wanna, in the drop down, you hit your Goomba texture. Okay, so since majority of the model is brown, I'm just gonna go ahead and make the background brown instead of white. So over here, you want to change the image editor, texture paint, so select the fill bucket. Yeah, then hit paint, make sure it's filled. You can do this over here or over here, doesn't matter. If you're doing everything over here, you can select, or you can press in, and then what's over here will be over here. But I just like to go back and forth. So yeah, you have your fill bucket. You want to select your color, and I do not have the material selected on here. Goomba material. There we go. So yeah, you have your brown. You got your fill. Just go ahead and click. All right, and then we can go back to UV editor. All right, now that our image is brown, we can lay out our UVs. So this is probably the part that will confuse a lot of you guys, but it'll just take practice. If it's a flat object like this, which is just 2D practically, there's no depth to it. There's a solidify modifier, but it's not applied yet. You would just select this and then press U and then unwrap, and then your UV will be displayed over here, which is the shape of this. You can scale this down. So the larger your UV is, the more detail you can do on here. So let's say I have it this size. I go to texture paint, hit our brush, go to black, and then I draw on here. You see our line is pretty detailed. Like we can get like our brush, we can make our brush pretty small. But say your UV is small, let's say about here. If you were to try to do this, like paint fine details, it'll be blurry, or you just can't do it at all. See that? You'd have to make your brush larger. So yeah, the practice part is laying out your UVs, which will take time. So yeah, solid colors, I just like to make the UV small, honestly. And then I just like to paint an area on the UV that'll just be dedicated to that one color. So black right here. Anything black that's solid black, I just throw it in this area, the UV. Alright. So our teeth is white. I'm gonna do the exact same thing because there's no detail on the teeth, it's just solid white. So we're gonna get our UV. Oh, let's add our material. And then UV editor. So yeah, we won't need to unwrap this since we're just generally throwing it in one area. It doesn't matter. Image editor, texture paint. It's just gonna be our white area. Okay. And then once again, this right here, it's a solid color. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. Okay, so yeah, this is part of the top mesh. So we're gonna select the top portion of the mesh, the model. Make sure you have UV editor over here. If you unwrap it, you'll notice, actually that turned out pretty good. Yeah, you can unwrap or you can do smart UV project. Just generally, it'll just spread out your faces. So this is basically the unwrap. Sometimes you may need to unwrap, sometimes project is your move. Just depends. You just have to experiment. So yeah, we need this generally large because we're gonna be painting our eyes. So about right here, that's pretty good. And then the bottom of the mesh, we can do that. Just scale it down some. Go to image editor. And then the feet. Oh god. The feet. What am I doing? Not the feet. This right here. Let's do this. And then, yeah, we're just gonna paint this area. Sorry about that. Alright, so we already have our face laid out, our UVs. So let's go ahead and paint our eyes. Gonna go ahead and get our white. So if you don't have a drawing tablet and if you're using a mouse, you can go to stroke. Should be space, leave it space. You can hit stabilize stroke, and basically it'll be easier for you to paint instead of you not having it. Normally you have jittery hands. It can be pretty hard for you to make a curve, just anything that may require precision. So stabilize stroke, always good to have. Accumulate is another thing. But yeah, once we have those, we can go ahead and just make our eyes. So we have a sphere, elongated sphere. Doesn't have to be perfect, but this is not perfect at all. It's kind of weird. I'm gonna redo that because I don't like it. Oh god, I'm bad. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, and then we can edit. Go. Let's add that back. Alright, so that's pretty good. Once again, it does not have to be perfect, especially if this is your first mesh. To fill in an area, I'm gonna turn off stabilize stroke just because it's faster. Just gonna stroke all of this in white. Alright, and then we're gonna do the exact same thing for the black. So turn back on stabilize stroke if you need it, and then just go ahead and draw. Yikes. That'll do. Okay. And then we're gonna go ahead and add that white that's there. And actually, it's like the gray. It's like a little gray tint. I'm not gonna use smooth stroke for this. Just gonna. Alright, now we can add our white. Looks pretty good. Let's go to flat. Okay, yeah, it's black. It's on studio for some reason. I actually like it like that. I don't like the white on there. Alright, next we're gonna do the same for the feet. Feet is a solid color except for the bottom. Oh, but you don't necessarily have to do. But I'm gonna press I on this, just get the bottom separate face. Gonna add our material, Goomba material. Alright, then change this back to UV editor. Alright, we're gonna throw this down here. The foot is a different color from these three. But the bottom of the feet, oh, can't forget this. Throw this down here too. This area, I'd say it's about, I'd say that's about it. Okay, gonna go to paint. You don't have to paint it over here. You could do fill, but sometimes in studio, like edges of your mesh will be white if you don't paint a little bit outside the UV. So just as precaution, I paint over there. Let's go ahead and get this color. It's kind of a darker brown. Just gonna make it a bit darker. There we go. And then we have our fill brush. If you only want to select or paint, hold on, let me select the faces I want to paint. So let's say you just want to select and paint these faces here. You go back to texture paint, hit this icon up here, the face select, face mask. All right. So now if we use a fill, it will not paint what's down here. It'll only paint what was selected. Get rid of that. You see this is not touched, but this is. All right. So there we have it. We can go back to layout, turn on texture. We can make edits as you see fit.
Okay, so hey, I was editing the video and I noticed my audio went pretty bad, so I'm gonna just explain what I did. After I made my edits, I went ahead and uploaded the mesh. I combined all the parts into one mesh and put it in Studio. Didn't rig it yet, but after you finish, you need to save your image file. So top left, you see image. You want to click that and then hit save file. Once you do that, you basically just go to Roblox, a website, hit create, decals, and then you upload that file, and then copy the ID and paste it in the texture ID. Yeah, that was it. Alright, so there we have it. Our Goomba is in Studio, along with his texture. Everything looks good. If you made it through the video, you basically learned how to create a simple mob or a pet, and you learned the basics of texture painting. So congratulations. If there's any questions you have, leave it in the comment section and I'll try to get back to you. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching and see you later.